As much as I love and thrive in city life, today was a very special day because I took a day trip to the nature surrounding Valencia. Valencia is a coastal city surrounded by lots of mountains, and among these mountains there are waterfalls. One such waterfall was our first stop, about 30-40 minutes outside of the city. It's called Bridal Falls, and it was such cold water, just like most waterfalls are, let's be honest. I won't tell you the entire story behind why it's called Bridal Falls, but I will say it used to be part of a marriage ritual, which I think is super fun. I loved climbing near the waterfalls, although the rocks were extremely slippery, and we all decided to go across the river, and one of our group mates ended up going under the waterfall, which is just too much for me. Loved observing the beautiful moss as well as the waterfalls themselves. And one of our tour mates had a Polaroid camera, so she took some pictures of me, which I really appreciate. So shout out Bernadette. There were also some goats among the mountains, and you can't see from the video, but don't worry because we saw so many more later today. After the tour, we stopped for some coffee, and on the way to the next location, we got some cherries. By the way, I went with a company called Valternative, and I will write that in the description, and this video is partially sponsored by them. But this is definitely something I would do even if there was no financial relationship, because this was one of the most magical days in recent memory. And I've had a lot of magical days recently. Our second stop was at some thermal springs, which they say are 25 degrees Celsius and 77 Fahrenheit all year round, and it just really didn't feel that warm to me at all, but maybe I'm just a baby and spoiled. But anyway, we took some cherries and fed them to these fish swimming in the springs, and it was a really good way to kind of get used to the temperature of the water for me. Alternative did provide us with water shoes, which made it easy to walk through the rocks and the pebbles. This is Bernadette, by the way, and Daniel, our guide. Yeah, after getting used to the water temperature, it definitely felt more tolerable, and we just had some fun splashing around. I opted not to get my head wet today, although you can totally do that if you want. Some spider webs and just gorgeous caves. It really was so wonderful here. And this mineral water, I think they should rename it to mineral water springs, not thermal, because they're not hot. But anyway, this is supposed to be very healing and very good for your skin and your body, and I definitely felt super rejuvenated after. And after that, we came to this restaurant, had some lunch, and I had the best focaccia of my life there. And I don't even eat bread like that, but it was so good. Our final stop was this water dam outside of Valencia. While we were looking at this beautiful water, we did see a lot of goats, and from here on out, you'll see a lot of goats. And by the way, I love goats. First of all, I love the acronym, greatest of all time, but also I'm a Capricorn, and I was born in the year of the goat in the Chinese zodiac, so I'm just a double goat all around, and I love them. Plus, my last name is related to a sea goat, which is an ancient mythological creature in Hindu mythology, so yeah, triple goat, I guess. Anyway, Daniel, our awesome tour guide, explained about the canyons and how they were built and why. And recently, I've been reading a book about the environment, and it talks about how dams are not really the best for a lot of the wildlife, like fish, but this water is so crucial for Valencia because they would be facing a lot of droughts without it. So this is really like such a lifeblood and such a big help to the citizens of Valencia. I guess that's the price you have to pay when you live in a really warm region. By the way, I love this goat. It totally stopped and posed for us for such a long time. When I got home, I met up with my hostel friends from the previous night. We went back to the same restaurant, and honestly, we were kind of disappointed by the food. We ordered one of the appetizers from before and the paella, and we're all just like kind of not impressed. And two of us tried paella at a different place, so maybe it just wasn't a good night, or maybe the chefs just didn't like us or something, but paella as a dish is pretty awesome. Then we walked through town and went to this bar called La Bella de Cadiz, and it was the craziest bar I've ever seen. This is all vintage, antique stuff that you can actually purchase. And this abundance of quirky decor makes it feel so cozy and fun to be there.